Dhamma Shri Soha, O Namo Manju Shri, Namo So Shri, Namo Dhamma Shri Soha. Ye Chue Dang Du Ge Chou Nang La, Jiang Chou Man Du Nang Di Gyab Su Chi, Da Ge Chuen Nian Ge Be Su Nang Ge, Yo La Ben Je Sang Ge Zhu Ma Shu. Chue Dang Du Ge Chou Nang La, Jiang Chou Man Du Nang Di Gyab Su Chi, Da Ge Chuen Nian Ge Be Su Nang Ge, Yo La Ben Je Sang Ge Zhu Ma Shu. Chue Dang Du Ge Chou Nang La, Jiang Chou Man Du Nang Di Gyab Su Chi, Da Ge Chuen Nian Ge Be Su Nang Ge, Yo La Ben Je Sang Ge Zhu Ma Shu. 推给九界没多长，最怕灵犀你的眼巴地，上给心头面的我也会这给难道心了就罢休，不如让他们到了港的呀大呀。Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. And think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but for numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering, due to mistakenly engage with objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and the causes of excellent happiness that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I will cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if the bodies of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the entire class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as pain, sickness, and harm caused by 4 elements. May their bodies be free from the discordant class. I will free their bodies from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the entire class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as the sufferings of fear, and all coarse and subtle negative discursive thoughts. May their minds be free from the discordant class. I will free their minds from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the entire class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as lying and all other coarse and subtle negative speech. May their speech be free from the discordant class. Or free their speech from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if all sentient beings were free from all suffering and its causes. They are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. Our freedom from all suffering and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the entire class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Oh, may their three doors be free from the discordant class. Free their three doors from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the suffering of samsara and lower realms. I should take on the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms. Even though I should take on the responsibility, now I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect, complete enlightenment. Who has such ability? Only those who have achieved the state of perfect, complete enlightenment, the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all other sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the state of enlightenment.
What age is it? Somebody can put over a show, and you say, who's about the hungry about the age of no much in the children, the company that you say, and on the Chandu say, Rounding the age of deity, project and zero, no, that you choose the person about the city.
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind. The aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. These transform into the aspects of a complete mundis at one's heart. And the ultimate bodhicitta, which is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness, all phenomena lack inherent existence. These transform into the aspect of a white five-pronged vajra on top of the mundis.
What age is Babu is on each of the more Gina, the chat had a dimity to do. Cat had a dimity to do. Dark Kiran, then I went to Dama Bongi, the Tinji to Kiwa Pimba, the nation of Chisel. Then my for the Chilinji, the double nuisance.
Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently one. If they were inherently one, they would necessarily become partless one. If they were partless one, they are following faults. It would be pointless to assert a self. The self would become many. The self was subject to productions and disintegration. It will be unreasonable to remember past life. Karma one has done would go wasted. One would meet with karma one has not done. Therefore, the self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently one.
파리도 주는 내내 우리도 또 기도 되게 강해요. 뭐 여러 가지 기도 많이 그래서 좀 좋지.
The self and the aggregates also do not exist as inherently different. If they were inherently different, they would necessarily become unrelatedly other. Therefore, the self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently different. Thus, the self is empty of inherent existence.
얘기랑 모두 진짜 퍼지죠. 뭐든지 제가 걸리면 이제도 퍼지면 나는 생각을 괜찮은 무슨 거 도마 뽕에서 무슨 무엇을 만나신 이 예상보다 큰 제법의 계승제 우리 대원적으로 중에다 또 뒤시도 사실 슈터 지금 내가 예상보다 제법이나 이것을 기자들 내가 지금 보시는 거였습니다.
As I always say, it's very important to conjoin the roots of virtue of our three doors with the practice of six perfections. That's the root of virtue with six perfections is as follows. First one is generosity. The nature of generosity is the minds of giving. These roots of virtue, these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma is for the sake of achieving the happiness and purifying the sufferings of all sentient beings. If I can meditate on this strongly when engaging in these roots of virtue, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of generosity.
뭐 얘기해서 когда 주진세원은 뽕에서 주진 와서 만나신 예상보다 집에 가서 뭔가 영화도 미팅 연구할 실물도 또 이제 봐서 쓰다 지금 또 예상보다 제가 이나 뒤에 가서 게다 주진 보시죠.
Next is morality. The nature of morality is a means of abandonment. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal misdeeds without letting them manifest. If I'm able to think in this way, to cause these minds of abandonment to manifest strongly, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of morality.
대인께서 이거도 세비 무엇을 시 예상보다 집에 가서 리세나 내가 강에 같이 좀 많이 나게 다음에 제 통화에 예상보다 제가 이나 그때 가서 게다 세비 보시면 되겠습니다.
Next is patience. The nature of patience is an undisturbed mind. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will patiently accept any physical and mental hardships and difficulties. If I'm able to engage in these roots of virtue in this manner, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of patience.
이것은 우리가 뭐有对什么自己说什么那些，也上不是结果了，搞的这个中国人，他第一个是别的的，也上不是这个这里中国人，第一个是别的的，那刚才这里不一样的是的。
Next is joyous effort. The nature of joyous effort is a mind and of virtue. I will joyfully and enthusiastically engage in these roots of virtue of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma. If I engage in these roots of virtue in this manner, then this root virtue will be conjoined with the practice of joyous effort. Next is concentration. The nature of concentration is a single-pointed mind with respect to any virtuous object. I will single-pointedly focus my mind on this virtuous activity of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, without being overcome by distractions and discursive thoughts, such as family matters. If I engage in these roots of virtue in this manner, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of concentration. The last one is wisdom. The nature of wisdom is a knower that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. I will properly and unmistakenly understand the words and meanings of the Dharma that I listen to, meditate, contemplate, and meditate on. If I engage in these roots of virtue in this manner, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of wisdom. Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the stage of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teaching and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings. So today we are going to talk about the benefits of bodhicitta through the proof by citing scriptures and the proof by reasoning. So we are under this outline, the proof by citing scripture. These benefits arise, then under this outline, there are sub divisions and proved by citing scripture and proved by reasoning. So under the subdivisions of the proof by citing scripture, the related verse is first chapter, verse 20. For the sake of those inclined towards the lower, which is taught along with the correctness by the Tathagata himself in the sutra requested by Vipatu.
다 디바 첨보라 세로는 얘기지 정주 되도 니와 멤버 서로와 얘기셔도 되고 소라다가나 maybe 생질이 돼 주야 다 디바 좀 있어요 내가 지야다 이제 생각이 아니 개 체도 요소 이게 들바 체도 미는 말이에요 멤버나 멤버 상주지 그와 멤버 상주 되는 영화 대파도 뭐 지금 하나야 그것이 근데 도도를 때 와, 그때부터 준비 장주지 선수 비행이 이 이따보냐 시험이 나가는 때가 정말 하더니야 쉬어야지 남겨야지
To prove by citing scriptures, this verse number 20, for the sake of those inclined towards the lower, this is taught along with the correctness by the Tathagata himself in the sutra requested by Subahu. So this sutra requested by Subahu is proof by citing, it's cited in order to prove the reason why these benefits arises. So these benefits arise. So he says, uh, so this, yeah, so this sutra requested by Subahu is taught by the Tathagata, and then for whose purpose, or why, or for whose purpose, and this sutra is it is taught for the sake of those sentient beings. Those sentient beings refers to those who are indefinite in the hearer's lineage, who are afraid of accumulating who are afraid of accumulating extensive collections of merits, and those who have turned away from the Mahayana and they strive for the hearer's enlightenment. So, and for those sentient beings who are inclined towards the lower, so those are sentient beings who incline towards the lower, who strive for hearer's enlightenment, who turn away who turn their mind away from Mahayana, who are afraid of accumulating extensive collections of merit, and then for them to reverse from, in order to reverse their inclinations towards lower, to place them in the Mahayana or in the great vehicle. Therefore, it is taught for this sake.
그러다 보다 소소하게 나도 기술 이 마음이 가서 같이 있어야 되는데 뭐라 그래야 가서 이게 되잖아 이게 미네게 이게 자기 그러나 누가 지금 되게 싫어요 얘들이 자주 토해 칠 때까 얘들이 자주라 그래야 저 남에서 봐도 최대 미네들이 공개 싫어 그게 싫어 이게 그러 얘기를 중요해서 봐 그래서 중요해서 뭐 근데 얘기를 이 마음이 가서 앞에 저는 내가 대바치 뭐 하나 주나 이단 마시고 어자치고 따위 마음고 지리 사비나 들라 현황을 또 이거다 좀 많지 와 만당하지 그 근디베 어루지라 하는데 그 간다 비저도 줘야 그 간다 그 비신지 비어야 비어 가려서는 맞잖아 니야 되나 니 로반다 그러죠 젬바죠 간디나 장주 비센데 냐래 제잖아 주마 쳐봐 이거래 비어 상지 못 쳐봐 되지 요래서 나 근데 지금 그냥 뭐 치자. 어때 되게 그냥 양쪽에 세대 그래서 그냥 수치도 못 지나고 배 샤와이나 배 나가디나 수비도 무슨 일 되지는 내 총다 그래. 내가도 못 지나 내 총다 그래서 장쪽 생기 비행게 이제 와. 뭐 되게 표현을 하신 거 요래. 이 여보 맞에 배 소속에 배 너배 상지지 공부 못 하고 아직이 농지어 봐이나 근데 농지 장쪽 못 하고 줘야 돼. 주신하시 말에 서로 그게 주신자서로 주신은 하시 말에 되게 그냥 자체가 여러 되게 막 그 이만이 무슨 마시오니 그저 예스니 받고 세슈 반에 자체가 되게 뜻으로 되라 대반 이시지 대반 레벨에 되라 기능 dimba 이 세라 되는 dimba 되는 거와 되는 dimba 레벨에 되라 저기서 그래서 막 보면서 대중 거를 와 저기서 아 저기도 좀 저거야 시장에 다른 쪽은 잔주세, 내부세, 쪽은 다 쪽은 했어. 어다 들리다. 아니 놀아줘라. 그래서 그래서 그랬잖아. 예바세는 링바세는 쩨비서, 제베서 이쪽은 와서 반응이 예바 고려했어. 그 하고 같이 그랬대. 그 지금 잘.
今年是 你对已经满嘢吧？定做那啲提前啦，手当嘛些吧，当做嘅全部啲衰嘅，弄佢把啲马当嘛定做咯。你对已经是吧？你对已经嘢吧？定做那点讲究嘢你对讲究少了。And the benefits of and this is taught to those sentient beings who are indefinite in the hearer's lineage. So indefinite in the hearer's lineage means that who doesn't know how to engage in the Mahayana, how to enter Mahayana, and those who are afraid of accumulating extensive collections of merit, and those who doesn't have the enough mental strength to engage in the Mahayana or great vehicle. So for their sake, and this is taught, and this is not taught for the sake of those sentient beings who are definite or certain in hearer's lineage. So those who are definite in hearer's lineage means that they, for the sake of achieving hearer's enlightenment, then they meditate on emptiness. So this is not taught. This is not taught for their sake. So instead, this is taught for the sake of those who are indefinite in hearer's lineage. So, and then this is taught and through explaining the great benefits and many benefits of bodhicitta, such as even if you are asleep, even if you not recollect bodhicitta, even if you are intoxicated, and as long as one generates a bodhicitta in one's continuum, then one will receive or obtain many great benefits. And even one of the examples to illustrate the great benefits of bodhicitta is if the merits of bodhicitta were to take form, or if it had form, then the realms of space would be too small to contain it. So it means that the merits of bodhicitta is very vast, even more vast than the realms of space. And even besides that, the merits one accumulated, the merits of bodhicitta accumulated will not be exhausted until one achieves the state of enlightenment. So it will not, until you achieve the state of enlightenment, the merit of bodhicitta will not be exhausted. That unlike those plantain tree. So the plantain tree, as we also mentioned it before. So we also talk about the merits of bodhicitta is inexhaustible. And so these benefits are taught to those sentient beings who are indefinite in the hearer's lineage in order to encourage them, in order to increase their mental strength, and in order to engage in enter Mahayana, and then to strive for the development of or the generations of bodhicitta. So, and then once you have this aspiration, then naturally you will put the choice effort will naturally come. So, and previously I've mentioned the stages of this, which the stages of faith, aspiration, choice effort, and result. So I've mentioned this before. So one must understand the importance of these stages.
说了呀，政治重要的但这个身体的就是这样的，是吧？我这么心里头实际上这个实际上的头发了，心里头发了，他这人家这样的是，我不接受是吧？啊，对，常常让你讲过也是，我不接受了，什么两个进来的时候来讲也是，你什么大天全部也是可以吧？我当然的长久性的话讲的都是不啊，是这样的，对不对？嗯。
So the benefits of bodhicitta is taught to those who are indefinite in various lineage, means that instead of entering the path of, sorry, instead of entering Mahayana, the great vehicle, or instead of traveling on the path of Mahayana, they think in their mind they think that path of hearers, it would be easier, and then they enter the Hinayana. So, so these benefits of bodhicitta is taught to those sentient beings who are indefinite in various lineage. So, through understanding the benefits of bodhicitta, and then their mind will be encouraged, or their mind will be to encourage, in order to encourage them to engage in dhyana, then the benefits of bodhicitta is taught to them, and through explaining the benefits of bodhicitta, through understanding the benefits of bodhicitta, then the faith of belief will develop in their mind. And once they have this faith of belief in their mind, and then naturally aspiration, striving for bodhicitta will arise as well. And then they will put effort in method to generate bodhicitta, such as the seven cause and effect, and also the equalizing and exchanging oneself with others. So they will put effort in the method to generate bodhicitta in their continuum. And then eventually they will achieve the result, which is bodhicitta. And these stages of this understanding about these stages is very important, because previously we also talk about the attainment of these stages as well in the context of calm abiding and pliancy. So the same understanding of these stages of the same understanding of the ascertainment of these stages is also applied in this context in generating bodhicitta.
那对我老师说的这个，有要注意的，基本没有谁，他这个你嘛是就有那种早嘛，你看是吧？早
So then, next verse is under the outlines of the great benefits of infinite of accomplished virtue.
少龙人的上了阳，很多三八团体的，虽然方面变成几人没得话，话都没把三的几，这个样有的方面头，那么这个就不是些，那就是话，我到底在我的经历的是在我自己的，那里他的改变这一步我许多，改变这一步我是吧，背下来，我学会到底偏，他改变这一步我是，改变这一步我是。你讲了，我说你这差什么过的，你不会，你从的对，是这个理解起来，自己这个对的，当然到了你的究竟是都是很大，生活嘛是吧？里面这一部分，你懂的，不懂的把这里面的到了究竟是那个是结果张些，我可能去年看了这个，就说呢话到是吧？都当不得了，是吧？甚至来的，我在把大家考虑的话，我是把这个面，对的，到了那个具体是这个什么情况下的，可能我他也把啥的，对他们说的是在。
So under the outlines of is of great benefit due to the infinite functions of accomplished accomplishing virtue. And there are two verses, verse 21 and 22. So if even the thought to relieve sentient beings of merely a headache possesses the attitude to benefit and possesses boundless merit, then what need is there to mention the desire to dispel the boundless unhappiness of each sentient being and to accomplish boundless good qualities of every single one of them? So the story of the daughter of friend. So friend is a name, and the name of the boatman or the pilot, sorry, the boatman. Yeah. So and his son is called daughter, and then his son's the name is called daughter. So through this story to illustrate the great benefits of bodhicitta. Yeah, the great benefits of bodhicitta. So the story about this daughter of a friend is, so this daughter saw a person, an individual person who due to karma, then he experienced great sufferings of being cut by a metal wheel, cutting through his head, and then blood rushes out and everything. So and that person, that one person, single person, experienced a great suffering because of that. And then this daughter saw it, and compassionate thoughts arises in his mind, thinking that may he be free from that suffering, and may that suffering be ripened upon me. So, and because of this thought, this person, uh, this person, daughter, who is named daughter, then he accumulated extensive merits, and because of these accumulations of extensive merit, then instead of through these accumulations of extensive merits, then he was born in the God realm.
俺老子对面这一不毛病，他身体记了都是，什么你看什么身体整个记了的话，我身体记了的，他来那个叫的多的，俺的可能来把他唱什么头的，那个当你的身体记了的，对不对？那个到了那个就是那个上班结婚的，他平时的那全部学会的是吧？俺老子讲究一些如果记得啊，哪看那的身体的话，身体菜的，哪看那个身体菜的话的他。동사와다 누가 좋아 이게 디지털 거 같네요. 이게 세조의 저놈한테 또 타이바 저놈 어떤 거 타이 게임하고 말해 스타트는 좀 있어. 좋아. 진짜 찍기 내내 장지 세워라 들어다. 진짜 찍기 내내 세워라 때 이게 비셔 봐이나. 오늘 장주 세는 거지 게 진짜 체력 진짜 체력 저는 이제 봐라 봐. 진짜 이게 누가스 대wan 좀 이 치도가 세 제우디 다들 들로보다 나가다 타이바 모두 저놈한테 타이바 여봐 또 비주 비슷하다 된다데 모두.
So if for the sake of one person, thinking that may this person be free from suffering and may those suffering be ripened upon me. So this thought itself is is in relation to one person. So this thought itself, even though it's in relation to one person, and the merits that one will accumulate is extensive, it's boundless. So then don't mention the merits of bodhicitta, that things for the sake of all sentient beings, in relation to all sentient beings, may all sentient beings be free from all suffering, and may they have excellent happiness. So not only do they have happiness, and may they have excellent happiness. So don't mention. So the merits of bodhicitta is definitely is definitely greater than the thoughts arises in relation to one person, because the merits of bodhicitta is generated in relation to sentient beings equaling the realms of space. So if the merit one accumulated in relation to one person is boundless, then don't mention the merits of bodhicitta one will accumulate in relation to all sentient beings equaling the realms of space. So that's why it says, if even the thought to relieve sentient being of merely a headache, so to relieve one sentient beings of merely headache, then one will possess the boundless merit. Then what it need is there to mention the merits of bodhicitta. Then under the outlines of there is no other altruistic mind more superior to this. So and then under the outline is verse 23, number 23. So who has such an altruistic intention as this, to even fathers and mothers it, to the gods and sages, thus even Brahma have it. So under this outline, there is no other altruistic mind more superior to this. So this refers to bodhicitta. So and then the verse says, who has such an altruistic intention that this, to even fathers and mothers have it. So mothers and mothers who wish to benefit their children, and do they have this bodhicitta, or do the gods and sages who propound the truth, do they have this altruistic mind? And thus even Brahma, those gods, and thus even Brahma, who abides in four immeasurables, like this bodhicitta? And the answer is no, they do not possess such an altruistic intention as bodhicitta. So sages and sages are referred to those sentient beings who do not receive other beings, or in other words, those sentient beings who are being honest, who act, who do not have any deceit in their actions or in their mind, who are being honest in relation to other sentient beings, and those beings are called sages. So not even sages and those gods have this bodhicitta. So so they do not have this this altruistic mind, that is bodhicitta, who wish to attain wish to attain the state of enlightenment for the sake of others. So don't mentions about uh, they do not have the mind to achieve the state of enlightenment for the sake of others. They do not even have the mind to achieve the state of enlightenment for their own sake or for their own welfare. So don't mentions about achieve the state of enlightenment for the sake of others. They do not even think about achieving the state of enlightenment for their own sake.
페이지가 더 간단하다. 생각 요 가요에서 그렇게 되는 거.
And the meaning of this verse the meaning of this verse is related to the next verse, verse 24. It says, if those beings have not even dreamt before of such an attitude for their own welfare in their dreams, how can they generate it for the welfare of others?
对我来举例的，举例的话，咱举例的，现到哪里看到呀？我们就甚至就在讲，甚至连这些不能的，我们没比没去冲那些，那点的话，
就啲寫啲統計喺度咯。
就路上的，像我这个，我说写了你们那个他妈的，所以这个就干啥的是必须啊，我非常喜欢，就这么写，那挺有意义的嘛写，
That's all. Then next outline is conclusion. So conclusions of the benefits. So and the related verse is verse 25. So such a mind of welfare of sentient beings does not arise even for their own sake. An outstanding jewel of the mind and unprecedented wonder is born.
他早前我的嘛，就是努力的看到，感觉谁人不起来，哪个点的经济这样，我们就感觉什么的呢？世界他那个有多么的，另外光的看到，那世界他那有多么的，另外光的这上去同的是，对吧？那切个爸爸，你根本没得讲，我操，哈那个洋气话就是我了，大家，完全我操是呢，对了，你早前我的都没个讲过，但是他多的那些的，你早前我。我呢，那个对这边养成吧，现在对这边早前我就有的在那个本身就嘛就把结果呢，也是那这里不对，那你的那这样一个啥的话，对的，这长期是你必要的，我都嘛忙，学这里，可能早前我连多啊，啥等我的讲的，那早前我一点，对了，别个结果呢，对了，我的没结果，我也是不得的话，对了，别个结果对了，没结果，也是挺好的，等到平时看看的嘛，我都得。我们学啥的话，我都得起我。
So having explained the benefits of bodhicitta, so we have come to understand how precious this bodhicitta mind is. Thus, the conclusions of the benefits also means advice. So you have understand the benefits of bodhicitta already, and you already know how precious it is. Thus, you should put effort in developing this wonderful, amazing bodhicitta that is unprecedented. So we should generate this precious bodhicitta that wish to attain the state of enlightenment, that desire to attain the state of enlightenment for the sake of abandoning suffering and accomplishing happiness of all sentient beings. So it talks about these conclusions of the benefits. Also talks about advice to us to as it advise us to generate bodhicitta, this precious, amazing, unprecedented, wonderful bodhicitta that desire to achieve the state of enlightenment for the sake of abandoning suffering and accomplishing happiness of all sentient beings.
我对的话，那对我来讲是别嘛写的，那我来看到啊，是多吧，贴吧了，我都爱他贴吧，爸爸说，设计送的嘛，都爱，是多吧的爱的话，爱多吧设计送的话，我爱了，到的，如果根据到研究，甚至对的，甚至我人气甚至相当高，为了知道也了解，也了解我的到的，那这个点上嘛学的是。
Under the outlines of correctness of obtaining from engaging bodhicitta, and this has three divisions. And the first one is actual, and the second one is its correctness, and the third one is dispelling doubts. So the first one is actual, so actual generation, and the related verse is verse 26. How can I fathom the merits of this jewel mind, the cause of joy of all migrating beings, and the panacea for the sufferings of sentient beings?
他就像这个心脏的平衡的嘛，心理是修的，他没比平衡的话，没比平衡起来，他上面把长期事情平衡起来呀，他就把两力建议心里对的，他切了嘛，他说，能把事情来把平衡修就是修的话，他没是如果是在切的话，原来切的话，他平衡也是话，但如果从嘛看他，运动他没苦嘛他 얘네 타바다 타지 지도 고바 셰바라 가이 주 와 진짜 타라 봐 동아 이 좀 비지 쨌다고 이게 좀 너무 멋있다고 그 장주 유바스 장주 신게 예스 고로와 장주 신게 예스 근데 신지 저런데 아 세지고 나서 다 이제 그 주사 다 되는 한 대씩 좀 말아 봐 지체도와 저런 지체도와.
So we have talked about the benefits of aspiring bodhicitta, and the benefits are great and many. And however, the benefits of engaging bodhicitta that is conjoined with the activities of practicing the deeds, that the merits of engaging bodhicitta is even greater, is far more superior to the benefits of aspiring bodhicitta. So, and the merits of this bodhicitta that is like a precious wish-fulfilling jewel, and there is like a medicinal nectar that destroys the sickness of sufferings of all sentient beings, and that is a cause of happiness since it acts to attains the higher states and definite goodness of sentient beings. So definite goodness that includes liberation and omniscience. So it acts to attain these higher states and definite goodness of all sentient beings. So how can I fathom the merit of engaging bodhicitta?
한테 가는 가서 대기 지출에 의진지 신도를 봤으면 되고 그것이 자주 생기때 좀 근데 보시지 근데 장주 생기 세나가도 시대에 하고 싶지도 장주 생기 세나가 다들 될어 소리나 나 비하는 그거는 얘네 되게 하고 있어 많이 차이나 우리 지키지도 지키고 근데 장주 생기 세나 네 완다 얘라 세나게 가서 봐 이게 통연조다 나빠이 조연조라고 근데 시어봐이나 근데往有往到一呢，南卡的内容就变相的，我讲不是我谈的，那个我得看不是，得看我那些这个是那个全部有的也是，的，怕他只要是个那个应该得他把就是，我这里有的，他如果想就是设计朋友的，这里有的也是，这是多。
And this also related to what I mentioned just now, which is the sutra requested by Viradatta, and it says the merits of bodhicitta, and if it had form, or if it were to possess form, the form that can be seen with our eyes and that can be held in our hand. So if it possessed form, then the merit of bodhicitta would fill up the entire realms of space. And not only does it fill up the realms of entire space, it will exceed it.
他讲句新的别人，我是别人的交兵多了，这里说的是，别人的交兵多了，啥就挺多了，然后差着，是吧？这种不给西欧的话，那这个在上级讲的什么了？缺个不了，缺个呗，按照忙不呗，后面把缺个的里边的大便全部修了哇，便全部修了哇，上级的资源缺个别哇，缺个别对，那上工作等于缺个拿出那么的。你把那个评的，你要对吧？哪些列不了啊？你要对吧？哪些列不了？你呢？像这些那个这个，你这个像就些的，生活当生活嘛，你呢？那平时吃的像就些的，你平时吃的生活的，我的，另外就今年就叫多了，现在在上级多了，反正啊，对，上级说的吃吧，那做吧，这里边，刚才的吧，这里批发一呢，现在的哪个多啊？谁啥多啊？我讲这些的，你们这些，对了，讲这些你到我家我就不会了，这个相当上去习惯，相当皮肤也是，就我对，那讲这些造成不修的对吧？
And the bodhicitta is very precious, and even in the sutra, in the King of Meditative Civilization Sutra, it says that if one were to make boundless offerings, if one were to make offerings, all sorts of offerings, and the number of offerings is boundless, and to the realms of Buddha, realms of millions and billions of Buddhas, So the merits that one would accumulate will be extensive, will be very vast. And however, if one were to generate bodhicitta, so if one's try our best to generate bodhicitta daily, and then try to generate bodhicitta as proper as possible, the merits would exceed the merits of offerings to billions of Buddhas. And this is related to verse 27. If merely a benevolent intention excels venerating the venerating the Buddhas, then one need to mention striving to make all beings without exception happy. So, as I mentioned just now, the merits of offerings, also making all sorts of offerings, boundless offerings to billions of Buddhas, one will accumulate extensive merit. However, the merit of bodhicitta is far more greater than the merits of making offerings to billions of Buddhas, as what was mentioned, as taught in the King of Meditative Civilization Sutra. And next outline is dispelling the doubt in relation to the generations of bodhicitta. And under this outline is verse 28. Although wishing to be rid of misery, they run towards misery itself. Although wishing to have happiness, like an enemy, they ignorantly destroy it. So this verse is very much relevant, especially in the practice of bodhicitta, in the practical perspective. Also, die先也一点点最讲错长话的。That's all. So all sentient beings want happiness and do not want suffering, and this is what we cultivated in the beginning of the class as well. So in our meditations, we talk about sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering, right? So in relation to this verse, it also says that sentient beings want happiness and do not want suffering, and however, they are not skilled in the method. They are not skilled in the method to achieve happiness and abandon suffering. So therefore, all of us should put effort in generating bodhicitta.
我是哪里大家的，我觉了，是这样，我觉得了啊，那个，你哪里到的，都浪到过了往是那种，我的不要讲就要，那你到我都吃这个都那个的，想法，想法我的大半不要，浪到过了往的，那个把运动啊也是挺有啊，我到底溜的，等等，你嘛等等第四个学有啊，我当俺这边，上网后吧，伊呢。랑도디 수수 대화 데 조니 만데 근데 대화 되어라 대화 도시 줘라 메시지 메시지리 나래 따야데 신적으로 나래 따야 뭐 신적으로 나래 따야 페이지 샤바이나 신적으로 나래 따야 페이지 샤바이나 맞아 제비 동아 줘라 제비 동에 데 파세야라 한 메시지 호 제비 동아 수이노 동아 말와 대공 그 동아 줘라 제비 동아 말이지 나 제비 동아 세야 이제 다시 제거 신지 세고 신지 소제고 신지 소제는 켜서
제 공기 제
와 제비 와 제비 동아
다들 저 차추 뒤도야
제비 동아 제비 동아 세야 제비 동아 뭐네 나도 그러지고다 동아 세야 다 제비 동이 요거 말와 아 제비 동이 세야 주 다시 가는 데서 저 신지 소제 켜서 어때 누구 다 내가 집이 대바의 세와이나 풀라 누자시고 차더라 그게 문제인 줄 양자 일반 중학교 동아마도 예 집이 동아시아 이거 뭐 어디 되는지 됐을
So in the beginning of our class, then we always meditate on or cultivate loving kindness as well. And in that meditation, then we talks about sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering. And however, due to mistakenly engage with the objects of adoptions and abandonment. So this is exactly what it talks about. So even though every sentient beings want happiness and do not want suffering, and however we are not skilled or we do not know the method to achieve it. We do not know the objects of the objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment in relation to this. So, in other words, we do not know the method to attain happiness, and we do not know the method to uh, abandon suffering. So, to give an example, is like if we experience sufferings of hunger, and then so we do not want the sufferings of hunger, right? So then we have the thought that I want to eliminate these sufferings of hunger, and yet we do not know the method to eliminate the sufferings of hunger. So when we implement this thought, then we engage in the wrong method, or we mistakenly engage in the wrong method. So the method is, like for example, in order to eliminate the sufferings of hunger, we kill other sentient beings. So this is not. So this is how we are. This is how we mistakenly engage in the objects of abandonment and objects of adoptions in relation to our goal is eliminate sufferings and attain happiness and wishing for happiness, right? So, and if we are not skilled in it, then our wish and our implementation goes against each other. So we want happiness and we do not want suffering. And when we implement it, we eliminate our sufferings and we chase after the cause of suffering.
我对我是当时光节情况的，这个没接来，我是南极光节下马上的你，我结果听讲了呀，本身也就当个光节些，但都是上班，要讲的，我说这个这个东啊，学第一切都实际所见的在下上的，这个东啊的生活路上，在第三路这块，他的让到活动往的就是，但是呢，他这里实际所见把这个这个东啊的趴下。냐와를 지야 주 사사다. 좋아. 만 냐와를 지야 주 사사. 오 디리다. 랑도 고로지 디리다.
So sometimes I talk about I'll say those meditations that we are doing that we do in the beginning of the class is very important, and those are foundations. And then on top of that, then we will improve based on that. So we talk about these sentient beings, one happiness as well, one suffering, and however mistakenly engage with the objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment, right? So So, like the example that I mentioned just now, just like the example that I mentioned just now, a person wants to eliminate the sufferings of thirst, and however, when he implement it, due to not knowing the objects of abandonment and objects of adoptions in relation to one's goal, then this person killed sentient beings. So don't mentions about through these actions, implementations of his thought that he wants to eliminate the sufferings of hunger, then he engaged in the conduct of killing other sentient beings. So don't mention that these actions will not eliminate his sufferings of thirst. He even accumulate the cause to be born in hell.
Oh, dear, the day was so other maybe do not say I heard some of the time, not later the patient will pass as one. There are no she, my son. Job, Job, angel member was all over that. Who puts so that so no longer should put so actually. And that who want to pass Sally should put so actually. How to reach you? Message. 那修过谁啊？现在那这乌过的他三年，他乌过能嘛啦？对，修过啊，是修过谁啊？对了，这样的马西班那个公安局，那马西班那个公安局修过谁？他都在进行的修过强力气，我这什么办？那都是经，是吧？老大都是经，老大都是经的，大家工作习惯那些，马西班那把这个，就过钱的，搞，他遇到了监狱，遇到了监狱也是。 遇到这个地方上，是吧？我在这里那天还是让他活了去。
So similar to this example that sentient beings want happiness and want happiness and do not want suffering, then the example is like they want to eliminate the sufferings of thirst. Then, however, when they implement their thoughts and then they implement it wrongly, in other words, they engage mistakenly with the objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment. So another example could be in order to, say, when one is experiencing the sufferings of poverty. So when one suffers poverty, so we all do not want the sufferings of poverty, right? So then we want to be rich. So we want to be wealthy. So and when we have this thought, and when we implement this thought, then we mistakenly engage in then we engage in stealing. So thinking that this will eliminate my sufferings of poverty. So this is how we mistakenly engage with the objects of adoptions and abandonment. And don't mention that. Don't mention that. Don't mention that. Does this cause will say? Don't mention that. Don't mention that will this cause not eliminate the sufferings of poverty, and one even accumulated the cause to be born in the hungry grave.
我记住啊，对的，朗读古罗就觉得全部工的，你看什么当国的，小个工业搞的，是吧？朗读古罗就因为核心用了，一个地基叫门路上，我的结果是吧？结果了，那这个东西，等到的搞是呢，这笔东西在第一阶段所结果的，拿到的信息都是关系，农老进去碰吧，农老进碰吧的了，农老进必须做吧，因为就主要第一阶段马一般的，马一般的地方的也到了马街，也明白的啥问题，等这个就地方，没给完这样是吧？地方上的，这不东就那个，看到就那个问题，也是这不就那个就那个问题。 现在背小的，你背的看你小是呢，人家背的，前面那些不需要，前面那些无的，那是没个了，你是没搞不清的就啊，没全没搞不清，没把那剩下的了，搞不清的，前面呢那些人出嘛，那电脑就多的，前面呢可能没位置了，位置可能小搞不他的，或者电话有的，对了，你可能电话不要的，你刚出来的，可能是这个。 我电脑些也是不都在就这样，就新旧对，所以这样的电话对的是东西，那不当嘛些嘛去，电话对了就了不当嘛些嘛去，他东西这样的， 啊，所有的嘛，基本就吃东啊应该是，我的就知道的，什么嘞，哪几行就不能去，也是不能知道的。
Yeah. So in the meditations that in our daily meditations or in the meditations that we do at the beginning of the class, then especially in relation to the meditations on loving kindness, then on top of what we meditate in the class, then on top of that, then you can think about sentient beings wish for happiness and do not want suffering even for a moment, and however mistakenly engage with the objects of adoptions and abandonment. In other words, so when they implement this thought, they mistakenly engage in the wrong conduct. Mistakenly engage in the uh, mistakenly implement his thoughts. So thoughts is wish for happiness and do not want suffering. And when he engage or when he implement it, when he mistakenly implement. So in other words, is not knowing the proper method to achieve happiness and the proper method to abandon suffering. So then based on top of our daily meditations about loving kindness, then you can think about the examples such as the example that I mentioned just now, one wish which is to eliminate the sufferings of thirst. And when this person he implement it by killing other sentient beings. So instead of eliminating his sufferings of thirst, he even accumulate the sufferings to be born in hell. And similarly, the second example that I mentioned was that in order to eliminate the sufferings of poverty, then due to not knowing the proper method, then he mistakenly implemented by uh, uh, stealing the property of others. So instead of eliminating his own sufferings of poverty, he even accumulates the negativities to be born in hungry ghosts. Then on top of that, then another example is a moth. So a moth or bugs that attracts to lights or so attracts to candle, the fire. So they attracts to it thinking that how's it from it they will feel as if they will experience happiness, they can enjoy the happiness from it. And however when they run towards the fire or candlelight or the fire, then they are burned by it. So similar to this example, so we want happiness, sentient beings want happiness and do not want suffering, and however due to not knowing the proper method to achieve happiness and abandon suffering, they chase towards the causes of suffering, thinking that they can get happiness from it.
我到底被这个上去，俺做这个的，上边过来是说上路团的是吧？上路团的，团里的他是电话托办的去，是吧？他是电话托办的，他给住的，你住那个团里的，他是电话的，那有点就是他住的个是，俺都不是啊，住的他拉到了目的嘛，那拉到了目的，你去吧了，拉到了目的，拉到你去吧是吧？拉到了目的。都不希望，都没往个说呢。主要的台湾区就对吧？如果的台湾区就给我的帮，我打的帮了，台湾区就给我的帮，那东岸区就不希望买起了，就那结果的，让个台湾区就说了，别怕帮，那东岸区就也让大钱，真把钱，那结果的。那让给台湾的，这他中国虽然是中多，让给台湾的，他中国是中多，我打让给台湾的，这他另外的，好的，人家这个呢，相对国家让你所以的，发发的，那你就是公开说话，对吧？钱，那台上同学是就住的浪多钱，就浪到了目的，他就浪到了目的，不忘给，不得忘给，那干的，如果的了，他就住的就没给我。如就吧，给我的帮，另外就没给我把去做，给我的帮，另外就把去给我老大的钱，那老大的钱的，那让给我要把的，那让他用我些， 对吧？这样东西对的，对吧？那让你对吧？这样东西。
So basically, sentient beings want happiness and do not want suffering. So in our mind, we are thinking about achieving high states. We are thinking about achieving the happiness of liberation. And however, when we implement it or when we engage in the method to achieve those goals, then we mistakenly engage with the objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment. In other words, we are confused about the method or the cause to achieve it, or we are confused, or we do not know the proper method to achieve it, or we are confused about the objects of abandonment and objects of adoptions in relation to our goal. So, and due to confusion or due to ignorance, then we abandon the cause that give rise to happiness. So we abandon the cause that gives rise to happiness, and instead, we abandon the cause that give rise to happiness, and we engage in the causes that give rise to suffering. So we implement and we even put effort in causes that give rise to suffering, even though we wish for happiness and we do not want suffering. So that's why it says in this verse, it says that's why it says in this verse, like an enemy. So that the happiness that we wish for, when like an enemy, we ignorantly destroy it.
Oh,对，他讲到人的这把养这把他都给他拿到你的必须的多，可能是吧？然后这把的这把电脑是最主要的拿到你的信息流，拿到你给你别老汉检查，是吧？我的你找的别让给电话的，要他就我说的，让给电强迫要这边，只要不要不那我我那哪啥工作需求我学的，那工作需求我学的，让给想法，我的需找我们呢，哪我没法干的吧？想法重要，是吧？那个什么。那想法的工作需求我的就会想没办法，那想法工作就话哎，不是这样中那没有事情做，我电脑去，那让你现在到让你哪怕你的华强烈是那现在是那种对吧？让你现在对当哪大大你的日本华强烈是那的。
So basically, it means that what we wish for is the opposite of our implementation or the accomplishments of the cause. So we wish for happiness and we do not want suffering. And however, when we implement it in the opposite way. So uh, and we also talk about cultivating loving kindness and etc. So cultivate, uh, even though we accumulate merits or we practice the roots of virtue of cultivating loving kindness, and however, once anger thought arises, then we let it manifest, and whatever merit that we accumulate through cultivating loving kindness is easily eliminated or burned by the anger thoughts.
这好了嘛，这设计地破事的嘛，这事情有多，刚去地碰把当永远忙的得到了，有个并且申报的永远长期继续去木匠的这些吧，别的给送卡了也是，第二种找什么留到设计地碰的话。
And under this outline, there are two more verses. So verse 29 and verse 30, verse 2 line. For those who are deprived of happiness and burdened with many sorrows, it satisfies them with all joys, dispels all suffering, and clears away confusion. Where is there a comparable virtue?
这里多，就是工作嘛，这么就是这么是去让到公路给看了书包的话，让到公路给看了书包的，这个看了梦的话，这个看了梦，这刚第一碰吧的，另外忙不的点吧，别大了，这事情挺大是吧？第一碰吧的，另外忙不的点吧，别大了，这刚才我们做的，你那个另外更的一斤八千，永远长期一斤八千去，是吧？一斤八千。 랑도了莫比木家세와 시 지레지 세게와 세다 세대다 게와 좀 많이 가라 그래서 그 무슨 세와 시 지레지 세게 자기 세 뭐지 와 얘들 좀 봐. 이 가라 시 그렇지 좀 되지 가야지 와
So in relation to these two verses, verse 29 and verse 30, for those who are deprived of happiness and burdened with many sorrows, it satisfies them with all joys, dispels all suffering, and clears away confusion. Where is there a comparable virtue? So where is there a comparable virtue similar to this precious bodhicitta that that satisfies those sentient beings who possess many sufferings and who are deprived of happiness and who are confused about the method of suffering and method of happiness and suffering. So this bodhicitta satisfies those sentient beings with happiness of higher states and definite goodness. And not only does bodhicitta satisfy them with the happiness of higher states and definite goodness, it also severs the continuity of all suffering and also eliminates or dispels the ignorance in relation to objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment.
他这两个嘛，等到介绍的送了一个多少的，第一碰吧，就是其他另外某个的对不起，是吧？另外某个的对不起，他对都比安多了莫不起，你送了不起，多多嘛些，是吧？多多就送第一碰吧，其他另外某个的对不起，安多了莫不生气，他别送了，多多的是别送了，是吧？别送了没有，当然是第一碰吧呢。第一碰碰到了看的不是呢，那想法情况呢，那是想法情侣过的，脱离的他比对话更近，离的深吧，深吧些吧。第一碰碰上，是吧？第一碰碰到了，自己第一碰碰到了，那想法情侣过的，那想法情侣他对话的这样对吧？想法情侣过的，是吧？过的那脱离的，他比对话更近，离是把深吧些，离的深吧些，对吧？第一碰碰到了都是不行的。我的是，那这种人家都送了，第一碰碰了，想把钱就过呢，想把钱就过呢，投离的，他比较更紧嘛，你是怎么钱嘛？你的是怎么钱？我的是，我的。
So in these two verses, there are three main points. So the three main points, and the first point is sentient beings who are deprived of happiness, and the second main point is sentient beings who are burdened with many sorrows, and the third main point is those sentient beings who are confused. So in relation to the first main point, sentient beings who are deprived of happiness, one cultivates loving kindness in order to satisfy those sentient beings who are deprived of happiness with the happiness of higher states and the happiness of liberation.
他等到他去接的嘛，那是吧？他看到第一碰碰做了个，他说想把过来是吧？想把过呢，所以呢，他电话来是吧？你是听不清把这看结果是过了吧？对，他去接是吧？他去接的。那等我忙活的店里就是吧？等我忙活的店里，等我年纪接我是吧？年纪接我，等我忙活的店嘛呢，年纪接不过呢，我也是另外的，早的所有的你开接我，你这个开接我都你头的吧？我写的，等我忙活也把这样的，我的。
So to those sentient beings who are deprived of happiness, then one cultivates loving kindness through oneself cultivating loving kindness, then one satisfies them with the happiness of higher states and the goodness. One satisfies them with the happiness of higher states and the happiness of high goodness. And then for those sentient beings who are burdened with many sorrows, then one cultivates compassion. And through oneself cultivating compassion, one effort in cutting the continuity of all suffering, of their suffering. So in other words, is has a freedom from suffering. Method that will free them from suffering.
그래와 다가도 참바 전보다 대봐 네 pomban하지 참바 전보 보니 콜라 지금 것이지 다 동아 먹보다 대바 쓸 미기 친구 보니 와다 요새 동아 수고 자와서 봐 해봐 타기 대두 그랑도 라모디기 여러다 대 나서 도가 있어 와 지금 그랑도 라모반나 쉐르 친구 보니 나서 람도 뭐 생게 쉐르 친구 뛰고 와 대두 그랑도 라모디기 들어 쉐르 친구 보니 근데 샤이로 그래 근데 샤이로 말이 근데 두지 그래 근데 두지 그 말에서 얘기게 돼 신경 몰라 봐봐 신경 몰라 봐봐 대야 들어와 와 돈에 자꾸 뭐 열어와 뭐 되게 랑도 있니 신경 몰라 봐 생긴 거나 뛰네 리딩이 돈에 쉬어 되는 거다 지금 대야 돼 어디 랑도라 뭐 이렇게 돼 계속 챙겨 보내 계속 챙겨 보내 근데 샤이에서 근데 샤이에 매서 리즌 좀 리세 와 되게 랑도 신경 몰라 봐 되네 어다 되게 랑도라 뭐 되게 랑도라
Say, in relation to sentient beings who are deprived of happiness, one cultivates loving kindness. In relation to sentient beings who are burdened with many sorrows, one cultivates compassion. And in relation to sentient beings who are confused, so who are confused with the objects of abandonment and objects of abandonment and objects of adoptions, or the method of happiness and method of happiness and method of suffering means that the method to achieve method to achieve happiness and the method to eliminate sufferings. So for those sentient beings who are confused in relation to objects of abandonment and objects of adoptions, one cultivates wisdom. So through one cultivating wisdom, then one teaches those who are confused about the objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment what is what one should do and so what is appropriate to do and what is inappropriate to do, what is supposed to do and what is not supposed to do, and what is the unmistaken object unmistaken what is the method to the proper method or unmistaken method to attain happiness and the proper method to eliminate sufferings. So through one cultivating wisdom, then one teaches them the unmistaken method to achieve their goals.
다 빌리 가서 비행과 대소나 가서 생기게 된 장비 세는 거죠. 가서 비행기 제시월에 아주 비생기 상황으로 와. 왜想到 关的 인제 关的 이렇게로 지금 보내. 다 반다. 이거가
거나 얘기죠.
장비 세는 거죠. 근데 또 뒤로 와. 뭐 그런 게 되라. 뭐 봐봐 세와 시게. 근데 장비 세. 예. 와. 근데 장비 세 대왕 와. 이거 대왕이 무슨 템바 줘야 돼. 근데 저거데 근데 비어 장비 세지 거네. 근데 저거데 근데 장비 세는 뭐지? 이거 개와 수바데 몰라 요스다 말게. 내가 무슨 가라 요새 지금은 그래도 근데 리샹도 생기 비어 걔나지 가네 요새. 그거데 세와 시군 누가 자타 뭐가 뭐가 와 네 인생 받지 봐. 장비 세 되기. 내가 나 잠깐 요하다 보면 다 잠깐 빨리 세 인생 봐. 와 누가 다 좋아지 봐. 나도 솔라 재미지야래. 그런 시세를 보지. 이까지 와 이까지 수다 때 전세를 뭐 되다. 개와 선바지 이게 가와라. 글쎄 와.
So when one independence on bodhicitta, so independence on the kindness of bodhicitta, one satisfies sentient beings with happiness. One eliminates the sufferings of sentient beings. One eliminates the ignorance or confusions of sentient beings. So when one accomplishes this in dependence on the kindness of bodhicitta, where is there a comparable virtue? So what virtue is such benefits of bodhicitta? So what other virtue can be compared to it?
다 되지 다 되고는 내가 가로 생기잖아. 이 시제 갈아요. 쓰는가 갈아요. 뭐 이놈도 쓰는 그때 뭐 사진 고도를 이 시제 갈아요. 쓰는 데가 된다. 갈아요. 지금 이런 거.
And verse 30, third and fourth line, where is there even such a friend? Where is there merit similar to this?
나 대바 탄지 유지 내가 탄지를 연디게 돈 자신 이미 하나 여서 간다. 도본 자기 세요 가 여서 뭐 어떤 자기 세는 거 되거든요. 이 가라 여서 아무도 이게 다 신경 몰라 봐. 근데 또 세나 된다. 이게 가 여서 요 말이스 자기 세나 이 수다 자기 세나 뭐 맞죠. 그래서 나 되고
So what other virtue is comparable to bodhicitta? So then where is there even such a friend who mistakenly teach the objects of adoptions and abandonment? Where is there merit similar to this bodhicitta?
그렇게 들으자면 또 이제 이걸 빌려 가지고
Yes, or Nikolai. Yes, so I will stop here. And in relate, previously, Dr. Go asked questions about the bodhicitta when it's divided by means of boundaries. Then there are four. Then Dr. Go asked about the meaning, the meaning of those four divisions.
그들의 공유지까지 몇 번째 생기 로가의 가르에서 단다 가르에서 뒤시고로 이게 생기서로 그 매주지까지 몇 번째 생기 로가다 그다음 매주에서 하는 것들이 옛날에 매주지 내까지 상세에서 몇 번째 매주지 내까지 상세에서 하되 상세가 사마토비 상세 된다 지바 사마토비 상세다 매주지 상세에서 하되 된다 지바
사마토비
상세 사마토비 상세
장주sem바
사마토의 전주 선바다 매주지 내까지 전주 선바에서 된다 지바치 뭐
So regarding Dr. Go's questions about the four divisions divided by boundaries, then there are four. And then this, the first one is the mind generation or bodhicitta, the mind generations of engagement through belief on the occasions of engagement through belief. So what does it mean by engagement through belief? So engagement through belief means that engagement through belief means that those bodhisattvas who haven't attained ground, and then is the same as those bodhisattvas who are on occasions of engagement through belief. So engagement through belief or occasions of engagement through belief means that those haven't achieved or who haven't attained ground.
다 매주지 생기는 다 된다 마시고 또 보다 저 되거든. 그러나 매주지 내가 돼 상세다 사마토비 상세 된다 지바 그래서 근데 우리 매주지 생기는 거라 사마토 한다 로아 매주지 가서 매번 집에 생기는 거가 돼. 매번 집에 가서 소리 다 들어. 그리고 저 찬데 다인 양반 매주지 가서
매주지 가서
매주지 가서 다인 양반이다. 다다 신양반이다. 연주自己没办法的，
다신양반이라
연주 방에 가서 나지 지고 연주 장기没办法的，연주自己没办法的冲击身体比较呢，没得身体。
다신양반이라
다신양반 와 맞아 장기는 다신 넘기고 와 그렇지 다신양반이나 연주自己没办法的와 다신양반이 와 연주 장기没办法的冲击什么地
메바당, 메바 총대나.
메바 총대시. 나신 놈은 연주 주제. 메바 짱도 분명 숨바디는 세제.
메바 짬당.
메바 짱도 숨바디는 세제.
덴베셈기로
총대베셈. 전에 매주지 세제스. 매주지 세제 메바서 누구나 메바 써야 돼. 나신 놈은 연주 주제 메바 짱도 숨바디 세제 때문에 매주지 세제스.
전지서 대한 가지 전지들을
원수 맞다 맞지. 인제도 맞다 맞지. 연주자 고스고요. 다신 양반이라 연주 전지 내 봐. 왠지자게 내가 본다 정말 이 생기 있다는 이 생기에서 어디 왠지 생기에서 더 그래. 요즘 양반이 무엇인도 못하고 그런데 나중 양반이 무엇인도 못하고 변주지 또 근데 내가 준비가 있지. 네.
Yeah, so bodhisattvas who haven't attained ground and bodhisattvas who are on the occasions of engagement through beliefs are mutually inclusive. In other words, they have the same meaning. So when we talk about this mind generation or bodhicitta of the engagement through belief, so it is a mind generation that a mind generation concomitant with belief by way of meaning generality with regard to uh, with regard to with regard to equalizing oneself with others. Yeah. So I repeat. So this mind generation of engagement through beliefs is a mind generation concomitant with belief by way of meaning generality with regard to equalizing oneself with others. So by way of meaning generality means that one has not directly attained it yet. So by way of meaning generality with regard to equalizing oneself with others. So it is a mind generation concomitant with belief by way of meaning generality with respect to equalizing oneself with others. And that is a mind generation of engagement through belief.
어디들 마다사비들 하다가 생기서 로고와
마다사비.
마다사비들 하다가 생기서 와 하다가 생기서 와 이제 다 마다사비도 그래서 뭐도 세트만 사기는 봐도 자 담을 김마 봐도 와 매지는 소리는 스타즈다서 되게 이가서 내가 생기가서 다 전화가 전화가 와 오죠 가서 와 마다사비에서는 사 담을 김이 봐도 어디 가서 다 마다사비들 하산들 생기서 그래요 마다사비들 하산들 생기를 이제 가르스나 다 다신양만 니도 무슨도 또 이 다신양만이 되지다시 또 말라이바
다신양만 니도
다신양만이 니도 무슨도 또 다신양만 니도 무슨도 또비 이산난다다 심바딘의 생시 송자 하산들 생기서
하산난다 안 되네
다신양만 니도 또비 하산난다 이산난다다 심바딘의 생시 와 어디 다시 본다 다시 한번에 되지 자고야 소리 뛰어갔어 소치갔어 그러다 내가 다 살아가 봐라 가지고 봐 다시 한번 이거 무엇이 또비 상당하다 초반에 생기는 자리 왜 마다 사지도 가서 되게 생기해서 너 이래서 이렇게
Yeah, so these mind generations of engagement through beliefs is persisted on the occasions of path of accumulation and path of preparation. And the second division is mind generation of this mind generation of special pure attitude on mind generations of special pure attitude on the occasions of seven impure ground. Mind generation of the special pure attitude on the seven impure ground, and why it is called as mind generation of the special pure attitude on the seven impure ground is because this is persisted on the first ground up to and including the seventh ground, and it is mind generation concomitant with special pure attitudes that directly realizes the equalizing oneself with others. Yeah, because the 다신념반 니도. 다신념반 니도. because 문수도 또 봐야 돼. 다신념반 문수도 또 기원해. 문수도 또 봐라. So it is a mind generation concomitant with special pure attitude that directly realizes equalizing oneself with others.
양나 딜러는 그래서 어떻게 굉장히 또하다 민지 군다지 답이 맞아 민지 군다지 답이 마다사딘지 내가 지생지 비차네
당신 군다기 답이
아주 사사 딘지 메카 디센지스 이비 차네 별 하사다 디센지스
Madasa tundu
마다사 딘지 메카
gi nega
메카
pyo
디센지 이비
nega gi
이빈데나
semke.
별 하사다 디센지스
Mm,
일라나 리그레스 내 치바레스
mm. So the first reason that is called my generations of special pure attitude on the seven impure ground, then the first reason is a mind generation concomitant with a special pure attitude that directly realizes equalizing oneself with others. And it can also be explained in this way why it is called a mind generation of special pure attitudes, because it is a mind generations of special pure sorry, because it is a mind generation on the occasions of seven impure ground. Uh, uh, mm, seven impure ground. Madasa dundu. Madasa dung inegap isengero. Yeah, sorry.
메카 디센지
Yeah.
하사다 디센지스
Yeah, sorry. So because it is a mind generation on the occasions of seven impure ground, after purifying, after purifying the intellectually acquired through grasping. So I repeat, and the second reason, sorry, and it is called as mind generations of special pure attitudes. Can also, sorry, yeah. So why is called a mind generations of special pure attitude? Another reason is because it is a mind generation on the seven pure ground after purifying the intellectually acquired through grasping.
다 되지는 가서 넘버 디센지데 다바사서 다로와 넘버 다바사서 있어서 넘버 디센지 레벨에 들어가서 가르스나 다디 거기에 그런 무슨 뭐도
Navasa sumduro.
다바사서 넘버 디센지라 오라 넘버 디센지
Namami mesengi.
넘버 디센지 레벨 가르스나 다바사서도 넘버 모두 비시 핀지 두가 더 디센지
Nampa?
넘버 모두 비시 핀지 두가 더
Nama mitobi ishi.
핀지 두가 더 값을 그 전에
Tungi.
핀지 두가 더
Tengi.
핀지 두가
Bemilulu.
핀지 두가 더 핀지 두가 더 핀지 두가 더 빼서
Nasapero.
그렇습니다. 이미 힌두도 집이 좋아서
Hachin?
같이 그때 토비 생겨라 그러다
Hachin pome?
하루도 시바나 소원해 봐. 힌두도 집.
조아메바.
힌두도
쯤이?
좀에 힌두도 집이 그것이 생긴 바 전에
흔두기 값수.
힌두도 집.
흔두도 쭈베.
집이 그것이 생긴 바 전에 대간다 너무 생기했어. 내가 힌두도 집이 그것이 힌두도 집이 그것이 생긴 바 전에 너무 생기했어. 넘버 뭐또 비시 핑주도 받고 계세요. 또비 가시나 아주 벌써 신고는 오라 가지고 가시나 또면 힌두도 집이 또 생긴데 와 가시나 또면 힌두도 집이 이제 값이 생긴 비전에 내가 그런 건 생기지.
And the third one is called the mind generations of, sorry, the third one is called a ripening mind generation on the three pure grounds. And why is it called ripening mind generation on the three pure grounds? Is because it is a mind generation, is a mind generation having spontaneously attained the exalted wisdom, having spontaneously attained the non-conceptual exalted wisdom. One spontaneously engaged, one effortlessly and spontaneously engaged in the perfections. So I will explain again. So the third one is ripening mind generation on the occasions on the three pure grounds. And why is it called a ripening mind generation on the three pure grounds? Is because it is mind generation having spontaneously attained the non-conceptual exalted wisdom. One engages effortlessly and spontaneously in the perfections. So because of this reason, therefore, is called ripening mind generation. Mind generation having attained spontaneously the non-conceptual exalted wisdom engages effortlessly and spontaneously in the perfections. Tangi di tabasa su mina de kieba ne juba paturo. That's all. And this ripening mind generation on the three pure ground. Three pure grounds is posited on the 8th, 9th, and 10th ground. And the fourth one, the last one, is mind generations of one who has abandoned obscurations. And this mind generation of one who has abandoned obscurations is posited on the Buddha ground. And it's called mind generation of one who has abandoned obscurations because having abandoned the two obscurations, afflictive obscurations and obscurations to omniscience, then because of this reason, it is called a mind generation of one who has abandoned obscurations. We conclude this Dharma lesson with dedication. We dedicate these roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teaching, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, live beyond long, to have excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. In particular, we dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche. May the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche be swiftly returned and continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of teaching the sentient being, so that we will have the opportunity to receive the profound things from Rinpoche again. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to the world peace and happiness, and may the world be free of wars, conflicts, disaster. So may wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, pandemic, diseases be pacified immediately. So there are wars and conflicts that happen between countries, and it's not getting any better. So we also dedicate these wars, conflicts between countries and etc. be pacified immediately. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to all sentient beings who are affected by these unconducive conditions.
Kundo Dewa Jo Chabe Bawe Jina Kebada Kundo Sambo Dea Deje De Jiso Namro Jiwa Dela Tanjera To Kosu Ni Dawar Koje Mache Mana Chidu Chema Nyama One Kundo Dewa Jo Rini Tamar Koje Mache Mana Chidu Chema Nyama Mebaya One Kundo Dewa Jo Tuni Niche Soto Jubela Chiche Seze Kati Tedo Kala Pepote Zija Zola Swande Soje De Lo Jo Ide Pade Bene Padiba Aheliya Sambe Ishno Kadi Sume Tinsin Gazola Swande Sotu Jele Do Jo Dame Tempa Josele Anzo Lozanga Maya Siri Majera Yashi Tayo Mashi Tendo Memba Tube Gele Zo Yozo Tube Tere Koji Sheda Tube Sise Dewala Aya Kushu Sele Koja Sume Chizu Nama Swande
就一点到黄泉主啊，一天老几多正方这边嘛，我不是喜欢西的一边吧，我到就是两手是那张，就是那些都觉得我觉得每天这样，多少辈子，给上对西北都就也说，看到那些各位情况这边到台湾方面中原的，今天是我第一次叫做小别世界报道的。